What's up, YouTubers? Let's Shrimp with Savage here, episode 2, part 2, coming up right now. I will remind you the first two warnings. 1. You will encounter problems with the smoke scrubbing equipment bolted to your engine and vehicles that are mandated by the government. Regulations, while themselves, can be a good thing in this case, although you can also advocate for contractual agreement too. Backed by the state, you break it, you get penalized for it. Similarly, they have a two-directional way of working. It's already explained that. Low oxygen coming out tailpipes, running too rich, pulls the fuel off. Too low or too high in oxygen, according to the programming, it says it's running too not enough fuel. It'll start squirting more fuel in to make it try to quote-unquote normalize based on what the programming says is normal. Finding insurance covers everything. You need to the engine and all and aftermarket mods, which is what they'll likely be listed as. And then consider getting a tailpipe emission test to prove to insurance people that the emissions are at least as clean with as the regulations want, or more, or better. The second choice is get a vehicle from, depending on the model, the series, and the auto company, corporate automaker, and who made it, and whatnot. From depending on these factors, the range will be from 95, as late as 1995 to early 2000s. Save yourself the money, pay mechanic the repairs, and give them everything you've done to it and how it's all done and everything. Or as well as redoing the engine to make the extra parts able to be removed and replaced with copies that are just like the factory. Stop. You're being a little shit, you know that? Now what are you doing? Such a little shit. That actually hurt. Here are the rest of my top. But anyways, there you go. Here are the rest of my top engine mods. Number 8, EagleResearch.com's electronic fuel injection enhancers, carburetor enhancers, or electronic carburetor enhancers for vehicles and small equipment. What these babies do is plug into your carburetor, fuel injectors, depending on the make, year, and series of vehicle, what they use, and no! You quit calling the bed. No! Little shit, I swear he is. He bit the hell out of my arms now because he's being a little. No, I told you. No. Stop being a spoilt little shit. Quit clawing the bed. We both sleep on it. What these babies do is they plug in your carburetor or the fuel injectors. One wire, you unplug it. You plug the stuff going to the carburetors or fuel injectors going to the ECU. You plug the one wire from the modules. You got to get a module for each fuel injector. So what you do is you take that out, plug one wire in, plug that in, the other wire going to the coming off of the enhancer module into the wire going to the ECU for each injector. So you're plugging that into the injector, and then the other side of it goes into the wires going to the ECU, the computer of the engine. the computer, essentially. Now, what it does is it tricks the computer not to add more fuel to the system due to more oxygen out the tailpipe, while letting the exhaust equipment do all of its work at the same time, regardless. Because with engine mod improvement, because the engine mods you'll be doing make this certain too much, running too lean, something wrong. Signals not go off so as easily. Panther, no, dude, no, stop. Being hard-headed tonight. Pretty cool, right? Not even touching the exhaust equipment. Like I said, be careful when it comes to warranty work unless you uninstalled the enhancers and took the autos back up, had them hooked up just like normal. You may want to stick with older models that won't or find insurance companies that'll handle the vehicles themselves and the aftermarket mods with the same amount of coverage. That's what you're likely best to stick with. If you or work on it, get it done, you're paid for yourself. 9. Insulating your exhaust pipe going into your turbo and the catalytic converter. This helps performance a little bit, but helps with emissions since you're making more heat energy being turned into useful work by the turbo and heating the catalytic converter more readily. Number 10. Better cooling for radiators, cooling fans for them. Replacing your cooling fans with race fans or flex fans will do more cooling. They will allow more cooling to be done on the same power if the material is light enough, made from lightweight enough materials. It is designed with good blades, can pull more air in at idle, and reduce engine drag at higher speeds for better power and mileage. That's the good cooling fans for radiators, what they can do depending on the builds and how lightweight materials really are. As long as they can pull in more air at idle, at engines sitting there idling, and pull more air in and allow the engine to respond just as good, picking up speed. That's the key there for those kind of fans, and they make them. They got all kinds just to do those criteria that fit those right criteria. 11. Performance exhaust system. A little bit bigger exhaust tubing coming off of the catalytic converter, coming away from it, will help use less energy to push the same amount of burnt smoke out the tailpipes and lower exhaust temperatures, EGTs. Number 12. Performance fuel pumps. They could help by making less work on the engine by pumping fuel to the fuel system at higher pressure. Real good ones will have a filtering and dewatering element to them, so less energy for the same amount of pumping to be done means more efficiency. Number 13. Synthetic engine oil or canola-based engine oil. Synthetic oils generally have more stable, thick viscosities, which is a one-word way of saying resistance to flow, across a wide range of temperatures, more so than regular petroleum-based oils and whatnot. This lowers resistance that the engine must overcome, particularly after cold starts, until full operating temps have been reached. And sticking to one thickness above what's recommended by the OEM. One thickness above the thinnest the OEM allows, or the thinnest motor or engine oil that the manufacturers, the car makers will allow of that model. One thickness above that is what I'm saying. One viscosity above that. Like they say, the lowest is 5W30. We'll go to 10W30 or whatever's in between 10W30 and whatever, 5W if there is one. of the same oil they recommend. Less, so there you go. Less resistance and whatnot to overcome, especially in cold weather or just starting up at all. Using now about the canola-based oil. Using the postal data illustrated in Figure 6 of a 1996 study using canola-based motor oil, which will be linked in the description. What they found in an EA-85 Ford Explorer provided by the U.S. Postal Service was evaluated for, these are going to be some big words, non-methane hydrocarbons. VOCs are in this category. Or abbreviated as NMHCs or VOCs, which stands for volatile organic compounds. Carbon monoxide or CO, carbon dioxide, CO2, and hydrocarbons, which is HCs, and nitrogen oxides. Comparisons were made by using the manufacturer's recommended 5W30 conventional oil and a bio oil, canola-based engine oil. The results show a very high reduction in the non-methane hydrocarbons or volatile organics, carbon monoxide, different hydrocarbons, and nitrogen oxides, as well as a significant reduction in CO2. This is also shown in Figure 7. Reduction from the petroleum standard were none, 25% non-methane hydros, 48% carbon monoxide, 32% hydrocarbons, 80% nitrogen oxides, and 1% cutting in CO2. Carbon dioxide. Pen and V analysis conducted by Rhodes and Consulting shows a lot less friction and a reduced friction for a longer period of time when compared to conventional 5W830. Comparisons of oil with a synthetic 10W50 also show the bio-based actually did better than the full synthetic. Expectations are that the oil should increase fuel mileage in vehicles using the bio-based motor oils over regular by 5%. Fuel economy would increase by 1.5% over synthetics. In addition, vegetable motor oils can withstand a lot higher temperatures and pressures before breaking down compared to the other two groups, petroleum or synthetic. Conventional oil comparisons. Petroleum oils failed at 400 psi compared to synthetic oils. The synthetics started to fail at 400 psi, while petroleum oils completely went to shit at this pressure. The synthetics only started to fail at 400. The failure of bio-based oils did not occur until 825 psi. So instead of selling it as a frying oil, we need to use more of it instead as motor oil. And a biodiesel crop too on the side. Number 15. I have an alternate approach to the alternator removing mod for vehicles. It could still help you raise your miles per gallon. This one was done on Structables. This guy used an approach that got him more than 30 miles of miles per gallon in a 2.5 ton commercial Ford pickup truck. This is where I got from. This is how I learned from this shit here. This is awesome. Talked about the alternator. There we go. If anyone is inspired to do a similar project with any, just do not disconnect the alternator from the battery without disconnecting smaller wires. It will still produce current, but since the charge is nowhere to go, the alternator will self-destruct. Diesel trucks have large batteries. This one gives me a lot of reserve power to tap into without draining them too much. With an ordinary car battery, you can damage it by cycling it too deeply. Once it finally dies, replace it with a deep cycle type battery, or like an RV or marine type battery, and you'll be fine. The orange, basically, he did eventually get rid of the alternator eventually, but you can do something here. And what he did with before, this is what he did before, something similar. It inspired me to do something similar, tell you a similar approach. Rewire the electrical system to use the alternator's rectifying diode in a separate portion of the electric system, so you can recharge a deep cycle battery by itself and use extra bright LEDs to replace all the lights in the vehicle separately. Another badass wiring trick you can do is adjust the brightness of your extra bright LEDs by doing turnable knobs that click, and get them. Your custom knobs you're going to use to adjust the brightness from the LEDs inside of your console, inside of your dash, and out there, so you don't blind people. But if you're in the woods at night, you need aero bright, turn them bitches all the way up. All the way up. And your tail lights as well, your headlights, and your backup lights, with two knobs that can control the brightness if you're really good at rigging up these things. The other part 2 of this 15 alternator modding part 2. This modification is for either a diesel engine or a spark-ignited engine that with modern ignition system, or the plasma ignition system, adapted to a magneto built from stronger but lighter weight materials and can power CDI ignitions. Anyways, now if you want to do this as well on a regular shit, go ahead. But if you want to do it on a regular ignition battery powered ignition system, go ahead. But consider this too. Put a voltmeter set up to tell you when the battery or batteries, if you're using 2 of them, are getting low, paired with a customized switch to turn that part of the rewired system on to charge the batteries and click it off when the voltmeter shows it's full to not overcycle the battery. So go ahead. So there's your alternative modding. Now, if you're going to just do the regular ignition system without even considering getting a custom magneto built for the engine, then this will work just as fine. But it really will maximize on the lack of need for an ignition, a battery. That's where this will be, or on a straight up diesel engine. That's the 2 engine types that this baby could get the highest amount of excessive use out of. The circuitry rewiring, because there's so much less load on the alternator. That means less engine powered used to run it, and less fuel to burn to make the same amount of traveling distance as a result. Hope you enjoy these, folks, because I enjoy filming them for you to see. See you then, guys. See you in the next episodes.